Hi, my name is Christine. At the moment, I own three buy-to-let properties, and previously I've never considered buying a property at auction as it seemed a bit of a scary thing to do. But I was looking for a fourth property, and I came across an apartment that I really liked in an area that I knew well, and it was up for auction at a bargain guide price. For auction properties, usually there are allocated viewing days and times, so I turned up at the property on one of the viewing days, and there was only one person ahead of me, so waited for him to finish. Had a look at the property. It needed a complete refurb, and I already knew that from the details that I'd looked at online. But by viewing it, I was then able to make a note of all the refurbs needed and work out the cost for a new kitchen, bathroom and decoration, which I later did at home. The property was in a solid purpose-built block, so I could see there weren't going to be any structural problems with it, and also it had a long lease. So the next step was to look at the legal pack on the auction site. The seller is obliged to make various legal documents available, including special conditions of sale, which detail any extra costs or things to look out for. Generally speaking, the conditions of sale state that the buyer has to cover the seller's legal costs. So it's important to get a legal firm to check the legal pack. However, by Googling this service on Google, I found there was a massive difference in the fees charged for this service. And I found one conveyancer that would do it for £150 rather than some that were going to charge about £1,000. Now for the major problem, finance. So normally with buy-to-let, I would put down a 25% deposit. But in a traditional style unconditional auction, whether it's in an auction room or an online one, once there is a successful winning bid, the sale is binding, i.e. contracts are exchanged and the 10% deposit must be paid. And also the auction house will charge an administration fee. In my case, I had to transfer £5,600 to the auctioneer's account before the auction. If I'd been the successful buyer, the £5,000 would have counted towards the deposit, but the £600 was the auctioneer's fee. And if you don't succeed, then they return this to you straight away. Also, I had to provide proof of ID for money laundering purposes. And in order to bid at all, I had to fill in a bidder registration form. So generally, completion is 4 weeks from the auction date, which is obviously not enough time to obtain a traditional mortgage. However, there is plenty of auction finance available. This is in reality a bridging loan, and so the interest rate is quite high. And generally, the fees for the loan are monthly, so as soon as a traditional mortgage is agreed, the loan can be repaid. Anyway, through good old Google, I found 4 providers of auction finance, and I got slightly different quotes from all of them. So having done all this preparation, it was the date of the auction. The auctioneers were taking bids by phone and online. This had to be specified in the bidding form beforehand. I elected to bid online. The auction went live at 12 noon and there were 30 lots altogether. Mine was 23, so it's towards the end. And watching the bidding on the earlier lots was quite interesting, but I could see that any properties that needed refurbishment were attracting a lot of bids and fetching much higher than their guide price. I'd worked out the cost of refurbishment and the bridging loan, so I knew how much I could afford to bid up to. But of course, there was a lot of interest in this property and the flat went for much higher than I had hoped, so I didn't even bid at all after all that. But it was a great experience, and now that if I see in the future property up for auction, I don't need to be scared off. I know exactly what to do. Anyway, so I hope this has been helpful. Please post any comments and ask any questions below. Thanks for listening.